I'm Monica DeSantis.
Welcome to the Prepare to Repair Show with your host, RJ Graham Plumbing's very own Steve Suarez. For the next hour, Steve and his expert guest will help take the fear out of home improvement by answering homeowner questions. Gain valuable information from Steve's 20-plus years of experience to help you save valuable time, money, and frustration on your next home repair project. Become an empowered homeowner and prepare to repair.
Welcome to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, and this show is brought to you by RJ Graham Plumbing, where we have the it's fixed or it's free money-back satisfaction guarantee. We now have a text line where you can shoot us over a text at area code 708-964-5500. Shoot us over your comments, questions for a chance to win a gift card to one of the restaurants that we feature on the show. So it's definitely an opportunity to get in some good eats in some local restaurants that we talk about down here or talk about on the show in the Joliet area. So definitely reach out to us for the chance to win. On today's show, our guest will be Terri from Chicago. Terri is a customer of ours who has a interesting story to tell regarding her renovation that she had on her home. And also, we will have our very own Tom Maslowski with what's going down in downtown J-Town. And we all know that he always has something to talk about, which is going to be a local business, and it's lunchtime, so we're going to be talking some food. So definitely want to stick around for that. Also, tune in to the Rock and Roll Diner on 95.9 The River, where the featured restaurant this week is McWorthy's Tavern in Romeoville. Listen for your chance to win a $25 gift card sponsored by us, RJ Graham Plumbing. And as I stated earlier, we also have a few gift cards to give away on the show as well. So text us your questions and or your comments with your chance to win at 708-964-5500. Also, on July 2nd, get your submissions in. We are having our Senior Day. This day will be offering special pricing to seniors, and this offer is exclusive to WJOL listeners. Appointments are limited, so give us a call today to schedule. I also want to welcome back my silent partner. I call her Silent Al. She's my daughter, Allison. She's joined me at the beginning of the show, but she took a hiatus while she was taking her the LSAT exam. So, and she was stressed out taking that. She took it. She's taking a reprieve and relaxing and waiting for those results. So I'm very happy for her, and we're wishing her the best of luck on that. But she doesn't say much. She's just, basically saying thank you, thank you, thank you. But she's quiet as a church mouse. So that's pretty awesome. So she's not going to say anything on it. I call her Silent Al. That's her name. She's Silent Al. So I'm Steve, and that's Silent Al. Another thing I want to touch on is over the weekend I learned an interesting fun fact. In the 1939 film, The Wizard of Oz, there was a scene in that movie where the snow is falling on Dorothy. Apparently, the materials that they used for that snow was asbestos. Yes, asbestos. I mentioned this because a couple weeks ago on the show, I talked about homes being built with the products and materials of their time. And many of these older homes were built with these materials at the time and were deemed safe. People have used these materials and thought they were safe only to find out later that they were not. This is something to keep in mind if you have an older home and looking to do renovations, that there may be hazards lurking that you want to get checked out before you do a demo. Also, I got a couple little tips here before I get to our first guest. If you are one of the people out there looking to purchase a new home and are kind of against the home that has well water or heard negatives of having well water, I wouldn't be so quick to cross it off your list. Though well water has its negatives, but with a little research and work, it definitely can be a huge positive. Many people are so used to Lake Michigan water, they're a little spoiled. And I can see why. I mean, Lake Michigan water is pretty awesome. But who wouldn't want to turn on the water? It's right there. Tastes good, no effort. Well water could be made just as good without the water bill, so you don't have to pay for that liquid gold. We will also talk a little bit about that in the show, and we'll touch on some of the options that you have in treating that particular water so you can get it to where you want it to be. So coming up after the break, we will talk to Terri, and she will, Terri from Chicago. And like I said, you guys will be very interested in that story she has to tell. And I got to see it. Has she called in yet? Oh, she's online. Okay, great. We're going to go to a quick break. Terry's going to join us after the job.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, and joining me from Chicago is Terri. Terri, how you doing?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
I am so honored to speak with you and to have you on the show. You have no idea.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Well, I wanted to thank you really quick because of doing work for you. The referrals that you've given me has been fantastic. I appreciate all of them, and you have no idea.
Well, I mean, we'll get into this more as we talk about my story, but, Steve, you are an easy person to refer. You've done amazing work for me, and you are an absolute hero who deserves a cake for the work that you did getting me out of my most recent predicament. But you are a great plumber and an awesome, easy person to refer to my family and friends.
Well, I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for doing. I don't have you on the show just so you could, inflate my ego. That makes me feel really good, and I won't be able to get out the door because my head's going to be too big. But before we get, tell our listeners your story on it, because I think this is something that people need to hear, and it's going to inspire some people to follow when they run into issues.
Absolutely. So my story probably starts off like most homeowners who decide to, make a major improvement to their home. It started with my basement flooding. So I had an unfinished basement that continued to flood, and that was precipitated by a grading issue in my backyard. So it's a project that I had been putting off for many, many years, but I ended up getting new neighbors next door, and they started kind of complaining about water getting into their basement from my yard, and just decided, this is the time I really need to go ahead and do this project. And because it required, jacking up, breaking up the floor of my basement, digging up most of my yard, I decided it would be a great time for me to put on an addition to my home at the same time, so I would never have to deal with, all this kind of the mess and the aggravation of construction. So it was a really sizable project. I had an architect that I had worked with before. I took out a home equity loan to fund the project, and went through kind of an extensive bid process with my architect to find a contractor. So we did find a contractor, and thought that they would be great to work with, and got started on the work. So 2 weeks into the project, my backyard is dug up, my basement is dug up, and the unthinkable happens to me. At the time, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I was told that I was going to have to go through, the whole thing. So chemo, surgery, radiation, immunotherapy, just a really intense and very physically punishing treatment. So I was working full time and divorced. So, it was just kind of all me. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to take care of myself, talk to my contractor about my situation, because I was really going to put the project on hold at that time. The contractor came back and said, no, we've got you. Everything is already, kind of up now. Why don't you go ahead and finish the project so that the exterior works? So we'll put on the addition, we'll finish the basement, and, we'll get you back into your bed, because I was living in a guest bedroom. My whole bedroom was packed up and in storage. But they said, we'll get you, back in your room and all ready to go. If you, just keep going on the project. So that's what we did. Every day the contractor was showing up. They would answer the phone when I called. But there were just a number of delays that continued to happen. And, I was well into my chemo treatments before, the time the project ended. So a number of project problems kept happening. And I wasn't alerted to a problem until 4 months in, and one of the subcontractors said, hey, look, the contractor's not paying me money. And that was really disturbing to me because I had just given the contractor a huge check that day, and they had given me specific things that they were supposed to do with that money. And the subcontractor came and told me, not knowing that I'd had this other conversation with the general contractor, that, the subcontractor didn't get the money that the contractor told me they were going to get. So, 4 months in, $160,000 that I, paid this person. Now I'm worried that the general contractor is not properly managing this money. And I'm freaking out thinking my subcontractors are, going to put a lien against my home, or, it was just a very scary feeling for me at the time, just, having the sick feeling that maybe the contractor is, taking my money and not doing the work. So I ended up, reaching out to all the subcontractors to say, hey, look, I need to know where you are in terms of your payments. We are probably 85% done with this project, and we need to know what you've been paid, what's outstanding. And the general contractor just went berserk, at that point, and became very agitated that I had done that. And our relationship just really started to deteriorate, after that happened. Things became really acrimonious, and I was, forced to terminate the contract. But before that happened, I was having, and this is where you kind of come into the story, before I actually terminated, I was having a big dispute with the contractor and one of the subcontractor, who was the plumber, on installing. I had, kind of a big cast iron sink that I wanted installed in my basement. And the subcontractor was telling me that installing the valves a certain way was going to be a violation of city plumbing codes. And it just didn't sound right to me. And I wanted somebody who I could trust to kind of tell me what was true. And I remember I had worked with you a couple of years before you'd come out and do some work, and I had a really, favorable experience and remembered that was a good, you guys were great to work with. I called you, you came out, and you kind of told me what was going on. And what I really appreciated about you is when I came, you came in, the plumber from the contractor was there. I mean, he was actually there when you showed up, which could have really been a very kind of hostile and intense situation. But, you made it non-threatening, and we were able to kind of, get an understanding of what needed to be finished. So that's where you kind of came in before we actually terminated. And I ended up terminating the contract, getting all of the work inspected because the general contractor hadn't done that. So I called in the city to do inspections of all the work. Turned out that, all of it was below code. It didn't pass inspection, and I ended up, filing a lawsuit against the general contractor.
That is honestly just, it's when you do that, especially in the condition, just in general, but the condition, knowing your situation, I don't know. I think that's like you just punched your ticket to hell. I mean, seriously. I mean, just my opinion.
Yeah. There's no words for a person, who could do that. And, you hear about general contractors who have about the same reputation as lawyers or sometimes. And I can say that because I'm a lawyer. But you just think that there's just a line that even the worst of the worst won't cross, right? And if you've got a person who's fighting for their life, dealing with cancer and going through that, you would just think that that's bridge too far for even the most hardened criminal, but apparently not.
Well, I will tell you from my point of view, I saw you, and my heart went out to you while you were going through your treatments, and you were powering through, and you were, just utmost strength. I got to meet your parents and spent a lot of time with, going over the project, because your dad was pretty much handling the, basically being your eyes and ears down there. And I will tell you, I couldn't have met even your extended family that I briefly met, just the greatest group of people and the most helpful. I mean, I just seen, again, these things bring out the best or worst in people, but they also can bring out the best in people. And watching your family rally around you and to help you during this horrible time. I mean, it was just, like I said, I watched it and I was like, you know what? These folks are some of the greatest people it was great. I mean, just like I said, watching you pull together. I mean, it's a bad situation and everything like that, but this just, showed some really remarkable people. And I was just happy to be to be able to help you and to meet some great people.
Well, thank you. My family is amazing. I definitely could not have gotten through that entire ordeal without their continuing, love and support throughout the process. And even during the next step of me, getting through my treatment and then having to pick up the pieces and put my house back together and then go through the lawsuit with the contractor. All of that was just extremely emotionally, mentally, financially, every kind of aspect. It was just draining and awful across the board, and my family was amazing.
Well, the footnote to it, I guess we could let listeners know that your basement turned out fantastic. The addition obviously has to be, redone because that wasn't done properly. And the good thing is you fought back. A lot of people, what they do is they have this happen to them. They basically full tent. They're like, they feel stupid. They feel like this shouldn't have happened to them, and they don't tell anybody and they hide. But no, this happens to anybody, and it can happen anywhere to anybody. You've got to let people know. You've got to go after them. You have to fight. You cannot let these people get away with it.
Absolutely. And no one should feel stupid about this happening to them. For God's sake, I'm a lawyer and this happened to me. And I actually referred this person to another one of my friends who's a lawyer, and they did it to my other friends as well. So, no one should feel embarrassed by this. The shame is not on you. The shame is on them. Right. And you absolutely need to go after them, because if you don't, they're just going to continue doing it. And maybe they're going to go after a person, a senior or somebody who just doesn't have the ability or the wherewithal to make them answer and be responsible and accountable for what's done.
Well, that's people need to do that. And I have to ask you, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm doing great. Everything is life is good. So I am doing well. And actually, I just recently settled my lawsuit with the contractor. I was able to get back all of my money, and so I'm looking forward to getting my project finished with the addition.
I don't call you a lioness. I call you the lion, because when you provoke that lion and you make him get up, and we're not even going to go him here. When you make it get up, and you've got him mad, and that's what they did to you. They messed with the wrong person, and you fought back. And like I said, you are just a symbol of strength. And honestly, my daughter's looking to become a lawyer, and you are an example of how to handle yourself and how to do it, and what a role model to be. And I am just excited that use you as an example.
Well, thank you. And, if I've got a few minutes, if you'll indulge me, there's a few things that I'd like to share with your listeners, just to make sure that if they ever find themselves in this situation, there's some things that I would suggest that they do to protect themselves.
Okay, we could run through these real quick, because we're running a little bit over, but you know what? Your story I want you to tell.
Well, so, the first thing is just make sure that you've got a really good contract. And that the person has got insurance. That's just so fundamental. And it really made a difference in my case. If you may be able to get a judgment, if the person can't pay or if they don't have an insurance company that's willing to stand behind, their obligation, then you're going to spend a lot of money perhaps in legal fees and not be able to actually collect. So it's really important that you've got a good contract and make sure that the person has got the right insurance. And you'll want to make sure, just, try to communicate in writing, take pictures, and get a financial accounting. When you're making payments to the general contractor, make sure that you know how those payments are going to be allocated.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I tell people on this show, that you're one of the reasons really inspired the show on why I decided to do it. I've been doing it on social media for a long time, but you're, if I can get the word out using yours, like I said, your story is, I tell people about licensed or unlicensed contractors. You can't even get anything. You're going to squeeze blood from a rock with that if they're not licensed.
Sure.
You had a licensed contractor. You did everything that you're supposed to do, and still somebody hit them on the head and decided to do dumb. So
yes, exactly.
But
exactly.
Now inspections that you were mentioning, that make sure that you're following up with the inspections, and especially in Chicago, they should be signing the back of the permit. So you should have a list of the back on the back of your permit. In the suburbs, you get stickers that that basically symbol each inspection that was performed.
Right. If your contractor doesn't call for inspections, like my contractor didn't call for inspections, you as the homeowner, you should call, because that made a huge difference in my case. The fact that I called, I got the city involved. They wrote hundreds of citations to the contractor and their subcontractors. And that was one of the things that really strengthened my case, was that the city got involved in such a significant way. It really bolstered my argument in my lawsuit.
Fantastic. Well, I guess the other one thing you said was if all else, trust your gut. That's what you
Absolutely.
told me.
Absolutely. If anything feels weird or it's just not quite right, just listen to it. I mentioned there was one payment to one of the subcontractors that didn't get made. That day, my gut just said, let me get in writing when the contractor was requesting a check. Something just said, send an email and get it in writing how this payment is supposed to be allocated. And sure enough, that was the payment. The contractor told me that they were going to pay this person $1,500. And the subcontractor told me they were really angry that they only got $800 that day. And so I knew right then that I had a problem.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the hardest part about it as a contractor is getting work. That's the hardest part. And once you get it, now you have to perform. And that's usually the easy part, because that's what you do. But the good thing is this show is, again, you're not going to know everything, but if it can give you enough information to raise that BS meter, so you can ask enough questions to kind of scare off contractors, or at least give yourself a fighting chance, we're half the battle here. Terri, I appreciate you, being on and sharing your story, and I look forward to the referrals and helping out our new customer that you referred me to on their project in Aurora. I can't wait for that one.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on and for everything that you do to help people.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, because honestly, without people like you and customers like you, I can't do this. So thank you, Terri. I appreciate it. You and your family are just awesome. Tell Mom and Dad I said hi, and I'll look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay,
excellent. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. And coming up after the break, I have Tom Maslowski with what's going down in downtown J-Town.
Tom. Welcome back. Your dreams were your
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, with RJ Graham Plumbing. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. The text number for our show is 708-964-5500. I've got my co-pilot here laughing at me hysterically. Tom, you here with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I've got my co-pilot here sitting in. My daughter, she's laughing at me because apparently I'm giving the number out again. But I'm going to do that again. It's 708-964-5500 because we want people to text the show for their chance to win some of the gift cards that we've been getting from local restaurants that you've been talking about. So we want people to enjoy them.
Oh, that sounds like a plan to me. Are you sure that you covered the text number enough? I'm not sure I've memorized it yet.
Well, you know what? I can throw it out there again. It's 708-964-5500. That is the Prepare to Repair text line.
That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It's got, it's the zeros at the end. So
yeah, that makes it easy.
You got it. How are you doing, my man? How was your weekend? And what do you have to talk about on today's show?
There's a pretty big list, actually. So, I do host a podcast about different things happening in downtown Joliet. It started off as being the musicians, and then I kind of led into some of the business owners and, because some of those people were where we were playing shows. And so now I just kind of opened the floodgates, and there's all different kinds of things that I'm doing now with that. We did the history of Joliet brewing, a few of those episodes, which I'd like to get John Bitterman back on. Very knowledgeable guy. A lot of cool stuff that was happening. I finally just put out a new interview with Terri Eastham and Christine Nordstrom, the young Nordstrom, and they own the Strange and Unusual Art Gallery. I just put out a brand new interview with them, so you can go look for that. And while I was walking around downtown J-Town, I did find a whole bunch of stuff that I think really needs to be talked about. There's also a new page. I don't know if anyone is aware of it. It's also an app. It's called Joliet Focus. I think it's run by the Joliet Herald News and Shaw Media. But you can go and get all kinds of information. You can post and share. There's all different kinds of options. But that really helped me out yesterday as I was looking for some information for Andy's Unique clothing shop. It is at 28 West Clinton. They're open from Monday through Friday from, I think, 11 to 6 every day. And then Saturdays and Sundays, she has her Sandy's Kitchen, she calls it. It's at Daryl's Flea Market. I've been hearing a lot about this thing also. All different kinds of vendors and different things happening there. I had someone bring me a record. It was a Yes record, actually. And so they sell vinyl there as well. Daryl's Flea Market is Saturday and Sunday. Sandy's Unique is there Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 3 p.m. Daryl's is located on 219 Maple Street in Joliet. There's also It's Amazing clothing shop. This is directly across the street from Chicago Street Pub. It is at 76 North Chicago Street. There's some scattered hours. She's open Monday through Wednesday and Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. Monday is shortened day. It's 12 to 5 p.m. But she's got upscale clothing in both Sandy's Geek Shop and It's Amazing is a whole bunch of just like upscale, like nicer kind of stuff. There's men's clothing at both places, so it's not just a women's boutique. There is stuff for everybody there. And rumor has it that she may still have some What's Going Down in Downtown J-Town T-shirts that I made a long time ago. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to those people. I feel like I don't talk about the other shops as much. I'm always talking about food and music, and there's people doing all kinds of crazy stuff out there trying to get things going. And It's Amazing is owned by a woman named Diane Harris, who is extremely active in the community. She's a trustee board member for the Joliet Public Library. She's a chair for the Joliet Township Republican Organization. She is a board member for the Joliet City Center Partnership. And I can keep on going, but this woman is extremely active. She just wants to do good things for Joliet. She is definitely a person that you want to get to know and support, and check out her shop. It's very, very nice in there. Both Sandy's and It's Amazing did a lot of work on the inside. It's way cleaned up. It's very inviting. They're very friendly. Definitely something that you want to check out. And Sandy's Unique is right down the street from the Strange and Unusual Art Gallery that I just did the interview for, as well as the Joliet Route 66 Diner, one of my favorite places to eat food. I have not been able to get there in quite a while for obvious reasons. They're open till 2 o'clock every day of the week. They have some of my favorite breakfast of all time. They have the spicy chicken skillet. Is insanely good. I cannot rave about it more. All the ingredients there are fresh. They don't seem to have too many frozen things going on there.
Now, are they back to full hours, or are they have they reopened fully?
Oh, yeah. Full hours, I don't think is much. They used to be open until 3. So, I mean, they're open until 2. It's definitely like a lunch breakfast place.
Okay. Great
coffee, actually. I feel like there's a certain kind of coffee that goes well with food, and they really hit the mark on that.
They have that. Yeah, I stopped by there. I actually stopped by there, but it was after they had closed, and I saw on the hours it said 3, but it was this was a few months ago. So
yeah, I think it's they're slowly working their way back into it. Yeah.
Right, a lot of places are doing it. It's Amazing clothing shop. Is that owned by a woman as well?
Yeah, Diane Harris.
You know what's awesome is I'm noticing a lot of these stores are women owned, which is phenomenal. I mean, you were talking about Jitters, you got Sandy's, and It's Amazing. That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Sue Regis Glass Art is obviously Sue Regis.
Yeah, I
the
saw
Strange and Unusual Gallery. It's a team effort, but I mean, it's still I'm sorry, I cut you off there?
No, I actually saw you post about Sue Regis the other day. I was looking at that post that you sent out. So that's actually
great
cool
stuff, man. And also too on the music front, Chicago Street Pub open mic night every Monday is now officially not just a singer-songwriter circle. It's back to the open mic night format. So if you're, they're very welcoming there. Alex Hoffer is an extremely good open mic night host. He doesn't hog the stage. He doesn't shoo you off the stage if you're having a weird time or if it's not their style of music. It's any style is welcome. I've seen hip hop artists up there. I've seen a guy playing bass by himself. There is professional level singer songwriters going up there and doing their thing. Extremely friendly environment. It's very community motivated. They want to get people out and get people playing. Open mic night is a place to go and just kind of get your feet wet and see what it's like to be on stage. Maybe you have some new material that you want to try out that, you don't want to wait for your show to play a new song. It's a really good opportunity for that. They have a PA. They have all the things that you need. Just bring your guitar and be ready to play. Also, Drunken Donut, the Joliet Bakery is on 821 Plainfield Road, but it is called the Drunken Donut by all of its fans because at night, this bakery turns into one of the coolest music venues I've ever been to. Literally any style of music will be there. I mean, crazy death metal to jazz. You can see anything there. There's all walks of life, all different ages. He's got really affordable drinks. He'll bring out food. I mean, he really did a lot over the break, we'll call it. He remodeled, he put in new floors, he made a stage, he made so that all of his countertops and cash registers are on wheels, so when it's time to play music, you can just kind of move them out of the way. So now there's going to be more room to fit people in there. It's just, it's like a huge victory for the local music scene to hear that the Drunken Donut will be back in action in about 2 weeks. Their open mic night is on Wednesday, but they have music sometimes for 5 days a week. It's just a really great place. A lot of the bands that I've discovered for the local music bonanza have come from the Drunken Donut. So definitely exciting news for today.
I have never been there, but I will tell you, with a name like Drunken Donut, nothing you just explained and expressed surprises me. I would expect to see all different types of people, like you said, all walks of life, just for the common goal, just listening to different types of music, because you may have a death metal band there, and then you may have a jazz band there. I just think it's awesome.
It's really, really cool. I mean, you walk in, I've seen city officials, I've seen 80-year-old men drinking coffee. I've seen, 18-year-olds, because you don't have to drink there, obviously, right? There's like the all ages like portion of the evening. So there's like literally all different walks of life there. No one's talking about politics. No one's talking about anything but music that they're watching. And honestly, it's loud enough in there where you're not going to really be wanting to talk about anything else. I mean, I've seen Green Jelly, like the famous band from the 80s that did the Three Pigs song. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but if you're a metal guy, that was kind of like, 101 sort of thing. They played a show there. X-Ray Mary's been there. There's a surf rock night there. They say it's just it's a big victory for everything. And they literally, at the end of the night, Stan is an amazing cook. You would be kind of apprehensive, I think, to eat the food. You're like, I don't know, we're at this weird like punk rock show and this guy's bringing out free Polish sausage and peppers for everybody. I don't know if I want to eat it. Eat it. Eat it. It's like the best Polish sausage I've ever had in my entire life. Eat it now. And then he'll bring out the old donuts from the day. So if he didn't sell that morning or that afternoon, those donuts are just going to like, so you can have a donut, a Polish porter, while watching a gutter punk band. That's kind of the best.
That is funny. I love it. So, you're a music guy. I got a question for you. I actually was talking to Brad, and I stumped him on this one. I'm going to see if you know it. Okay?
Great.
All right. Okay. there were two
37.
musicians that were part of a band that was in Woodstock. They wound up leaving and starting up a band in the 70s that wound up being a supergroup in a popular arena rock band. What band did they leave?
Starship?
What band did they leave, and what band did they start?
I literally have no idea. Because Jefferson Airplane wasn't in Woodstock, right? They did not get invited, or they didn't make it in, or something.
I don't think they were there. No,
they weren't there. I have no idea. I'm also stumped.
Okay. The two members, one of them was a guitar phenom by the name of Neil Schon, was in Woodstock in the band Santana. The two of them left to form the mega band Journey.
Oh, no kidding. I am absolutely not a Journey fan in any way, shape, or form. They make me want to gouge my eyes right out of my skull.
Come on. You're not faithfully, huh? You don't.
I hate it. I hate it with everything in my soul. Now,
that wheel in the sky doesn't keep on turning.
Musicians. I hate it, man. It makes me I feel like I'm in detention. Like all of a sudden I'm back in 8th grade and I'm in detention hall, and this is my punishment. Journey song.
I found the story interesting because of the fact is Neil Schon was just 15 years old. He was a guitar phenom, and he was playing at Woodstock, and his parents allowed him to drop out of school to pursue music, and he went on to work on many projects. Obviously, with Journey, and he also did some work with Sammy Hagar and so forth. So it was just very interesting story. And the other one, Brad actually knew this one, that how Glenn Frey of the Eagles and Don Henley met.
I don't know.
They were actually in Linda Ronstadt's band.
Oh, no kidding. And I'm hoping that there's some stories like this that come out of our music scene here at Joliet, because there's a lot of people who are in bands together and, enjoy things. And I think a lot of them actually are better than a couple of the bands that you just said.
Oh, you don't like the Eagles now? You're not an Eagles fan?
I, in the words of Big Lebowski, I hate the Eagles, man.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it. That's not, you're giving me all the styles of music the two styles of music that I can't do is like the 80s or metal type stuff.
Styx?
No Journey.
No Styx?
What's that?
No Styx?
No.
No? Kansas?
No.
But Dust in the Wind? Come on.
No, I mean, Dust in the Wind is cool. I mean, it's cool. I like it. You know
what?
I do.
Remember when I don't know if I told you the story about my encounter with a famous blues musician, and I totally made just a total jerk of myself. Did I remember me telling you that?
No.
Well, when I was before, I used to work at I used to work on ATMs, and there was this gentleman, and he told me he used to play guitar, and he did not like he didn't play anymore because he had a bad taste in his mouth over just the way he was treated in the 50s and the 60s. And he was an older gentleman. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking this guy's, okay, you're a nut. I'm just, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. He's just sitting there talking to me. He's working the night shift. I'm working the night shift, but there was no calls. I'm dispatching, and he's talking. And he brings in an album with his picture on it. It turns out he was a legendary blues guitarist that went by the name of Joe Williams, or Jody, and he went under Jody Williams when I met him. And I'm looking at this, and I was like, okay, first of all, I not only, I had my foot in my mouth. I had salt on it. I think I put mustard, ketchup, and even put a bun on it and condiments. It was just like, and then I'm listening to him just tell me and why he was just so aggravated, because we all know what happened to blues musicians. And, during that time, their music, they were screwed over. Their music was taken away from them. And, they didn't get credit for it and so forth. And it was raw. It was just horrible. And listen, and then what was cool is, I wound up leaving. He said he wouldn't play again, and I wound up, going on to a different job from there. He went back and started playing.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, you can't give it up, man. It's like something, there's a lot of people that do it for fun. It's a hobby, but there's some of us out there that it's just part of who we are. You have to do it. It's like,
I couldn't apologize.
It's good for your brains.
I couldn't apologize enough to this man. I was just like, I felt like such an idiot. I must have apologized to him like 100 times. He's like, no, Steve, no. You didn't know. And like I said, when I realized that, I'm like, wow. And I didn't realize just what had happened. I was, because I didn't really listen to that genre of music, but then I realized what had happened, and I was like, wow. But he did wind up going and playing again, and he wound up really rekindling a lot of stuff. So, and before he passed away. So that was really, really good to hear. And, I was fortunate enough to meet him, even though I was too dumb to know who I was in front of, who was standing before me.
Oh, jeez.
So,
there's so much music out there. There's so many things going on, like, for example, they say on YouTube, there's so much content on YouTube that if a person were to watch YouTube nonstop from their birth to their death, that they wouldn't come close to being able to watch every single thing that's up there.
Wow. You
can't know everybody. You can't know everything. Everyone's got their niche. Everyone's got their crew of people, and it's kind of like, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to get noticed in that industry. It's hard to make a living for that exact reason. Everyone's got a band. Everyone's got an album. Everyone's playing shows this weekend. It's tough, sometimes it could be a little bit disheartening, as a musician when maybe your popularity wanes or getting older and there's no one coming to your shows anymore because, people are passing away or they're moving away or they're just, super busy with, adult life and all that kind of stuff. It could be very taxing to your psyche, honestly, to try to maneuver through that as a musician and then remember, hey, I wasn't playing music in the first place because of fans or because of popularity. There was something about music that really called to me. There's something that calls every musician, and it's great to hear that in the end he didn't give up and he went back to it. And
right.
I hope I can and say the same thing.
Well, I was just watching him. I could just see the pain. He was really, it really upset him what had happened and him, leaving that. But he was really concerned about just being able to play at the speed that he was. And I'm not a musician, so I don't know. I don't have the talent to do that. But him being, I guess that when you play, just being able to, play like he wants at the level that he wanted, that he felt that he should be at. That's pretty amazing. So, he wound up playing and he wound up doing it. I knew him. This was in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So he wound up playing for a few more years after that, which is really good. And I'm glad he did it. And, like I said, I'm glad he forgave me because I felt really, really stupid. So I did, man. So
I know the feeling all too well, Steve.
All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate you, joining the show like you always do. How do people find Mr. Tom Maslowski?
You can find What's Going Down in Downtown J-Town on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And unfortunately, it's probably best if you type the entire thing out, apostrophes and all. It was funny when I first came up with it. Now I'm now I'm with the long, lengthy names. I apologize to all the fans out there. And if you were able to use my page as a community bulletin board to just post anything you need up there, you can find our podcasts up there. If you're not a social media person, you can find all of this stuff at zestysoul.com, ZESTYSOL.com, and you can find the What's Going Down in Downtown J-Town tab, and everything I'm talking about can be found through that.
Fantastic. And I've also been sharing a lot of your posts as well on the Prepare to Repair Facebook page, and that's Prepare number 2 Repair. Oh yeah, I've been watching a lot of the interesting stuff that you've been posting out there, so that's fantastic. I ran a little bit over with everything, but I definitely wanted to talk to Terri, and I wanted to talk to and have her tell her story, and I wanted to go over some things with you as far as just some of the stuff you had, and I had these musical questions that I wanted, so we ran a little bit late. We weren't able to talk about some of the things home improvement related, but I did give some tips in the beginning of the show, which I think is okay too. So, I think Terri's story was pretty important. I think you were right on that. That's definitely, good that you gave her a chance to get out there and tell that whole story. So, well, it does inspire. It does inspire people to, when certain things happen, fight. Don't let them get away with it. But if it does anything, it helps you, learn a little something of how to, you may not know everything, but just learn a few things that are going to help you with the, tune up that BS meter that you have, so you can, get some, basically tune out some of these people and weed them out so you don't have to deal with them. So, all right, Tom. Go on, I'm sorry.
No, it's very commendable. I really appreciate that you do stuff like that. I think it's really a great thing, and I hope that more people start doing that in positions that can.
Well, I appreciate. Well, I do my best, and like I said, she was an inspiration for part of the inspiration for the show. So, I mean, I'm glad I can have her on and continue doing what we're doing. So, till next week, Tom. I appreciate it. Stay safe, and have some good eats.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I'll see you next week.
You got it. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. You can reach us on our text line. I don't know if you've got it, but I'll say it again. It's area code 708-964-5500 or at prepare number 2 repairshow@gmail.com. You can send us an email. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully you learned a little bit about your home, community, and got some good eats. See y'all next week.